Now, on historyradio.org, Henrik Ibsen's classic tragedy, Hedda Gabler. This is the NBC University Theater production, from 1950.
This is the NBC Theater. From the NBC Theater in Hollywood, an hour-length version of a great four-act play, Henrik Ibsen's dark study of a tempestuous woman, Hedda Gabler. The adaptation for radio is by Clarice A. Ross of NBC. Hear it now.
The house was quite large, and by the standards of the middle of the last century when it was built, most elegant. Within, the drawing room was spacious, handsome, and tastefully furnished, but the morning sun coming through the glass garden doors showed a room inhabited but not yet lived in, as though the room and the house waited for what the lives of the people in it would do to give it its own life. In the room, a pleasant-faced elderly lady also waited.
Oh, Julia. Dear Aunt Julia.
Oh, George, dear, good morning.
You've come all this way to see us so early in the morning.
Oh, well, we didn't really have a chance to talk, George, with the boat getting in so late last night.
Yes. Sit down, then, and we'll have a good chat until Hedda comes.
Oh, George, let me look at you. To think of you a married man, and that you should be the one to carry off the beautiful Hedda Gabler when she had so many admirers.
I can hardly believe it yet myself, Aunt Julia.
And then this wonderful wedding trip, nearly 6 months. George, dear, have you anything to tell me?
Oh, about our journey?
Yes, you know, dear.
Well, I had a doctor's degree conferred on me for my historical work, but I wrote you about that.
I mean, George, have you any expectations? I'm your old aunt, dear. You can tell me.
Why, of course I have.
Ah.
I expect to be made a professor one of these days.
Oh, George. But about your journey, dear. Tell me, it must have cost a great deal of money.
Oh, yes, I suppose it did. But I had my traveling scholarship, you know, and besides, Hedda had to have this trip. She simply had to.
Yes, I suppose she did. What do you think of the house, dear? The furniture and the carpets I bought.
Oh, I'm delighted with it all, Aunt Julia. But there are 2 empty rooms next to Hedda's bedroom. And whatever are we to do with them?
Oh, George, I dare say you may find some use for them in the course of time.
Oh, of course. You mean as my library increases, eh?
Quite so, my boy.
Yes. Well, you know, I'm so happy about this house, on Hedda's account. Before we were engaged, she always said she would never want to live anywhere but in Secretary Fox's villa.
And now you have it. But you'll find it very expensive, I'm afraid.
Yes, I suppose I shall. But when I get my professorship, it will surely take care of everything.
Oh, yes, surely it will. And to think, George, there's no one left to oppose you.
Yes.
You have no rivals. And your most dangerous rival. Oh, he's made a ruin of his life, the poor creature.
Yes. I meant to ask you, has there been any news of Eilert Lövborg? Since I went away, I mean.
I heard he published a new book recently.
Eh?
Heaven knows what it can be worth. Now, when your book is published, George, that will be a different story. What will the title be?
Domestic Industries of Brabant during the Middle Ages.
Oh, imagine being able to write on such a thing.
Oh, of course, there's a great deal of work to be done on it yet. But it will all go smoothly, now that I have my own beautiful home to work in.
And the wife of your heart, my dear George.
Oh, yes, Aunt Julia. Hedda, she is the best part of it all. Oh, but listen, I think she's coming now. Hedda?
Yes, here she is.
Yeah.
Good morning, my dear Hedda.
Good morning, Miss Tesman. How kind of you to call.
Well, has the bride slept well in her new home?
Oh, yes, thanks. Passably.
Oh, passably, Hedda. You were sleeping like a stone when I got up. Auntie, look at Hedda. See how handsome she is.
Tesman, please.
Why, there's nothing new in that, George. Hedda was always lovely.
Oh, yes, but notice how she's filled out during our journey.
Oh, filled out?
That isn't true. I'm exactly as I was.
Oh, no, Hedda, I can see that...
You can see nothing. Be quiet. I'm exactly as I was when I started.
So you say, but I am certain you are not. What do you think, Auntie?
Tesman, I will not be talked over like a horse. If you will excuse me, Miss Tesman, I must speak to the servant. Thank you so much for calling.
Yeah, I can't think why you were so short with Aunt Julia, Hedda. Is anything the matter with you?
No, nothing. Tesman, I've been looking at my old piano.
Eh?
It doesn't go at all well with the other things in here.
Well, then, we must exchange it.
Oh, no, I don't want to part with it. Suppose we put it in the small parlor and buy another for this room.
Buy another? Why. Yes, of course we could do that.
Good heavens, who could have sent that dreadful bouquet on the table?
Eh? Oh, I was thinking they were rather pretty. Isn't there a card?
Let me see. Oh, yes. It says, shall return later in the day. Well, it's signed Mrs. Elvsted.
Is it really? Would that be Sheriff Elvsted's wife?
Exactly. The girl with the irritating blonde hair that she was always showing off. Odd that she should call. I haven't seen her in years.
Yes, so I. They live a long way out of town, don't they?
Tesman, isn't it somewhere near there that Eilert Lövborg is living?
Yes, I believe it is.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Eh?
Yes, Bertie, what is it?
That lady, ma'am, who brought the flowers is here again.
Is she? Will show her in. That didn't take long.
This way, please, ma'am.
Mrs. Elvsted, it's delightful to see you again.
Well, I didn't know. It's a long time since we met.
Yes, it is. A very long time, Miss Rising.
Mrs. Elvsted, Tesman.
Oh, yes.
Thank you for your lovely flowers, Mrs. Elvsted. Have you just come to town?
Yesterday. I called at once. I was in despair when you weren't here.
Despair? Oh, now, really.
Are you in any trouble?
Oh, yes. And I have no one to turn to. Oh, please, don't misunderstand me.
Oh, come now. Sit down. Tell us the whole story.
Well, you see, well, perhaps you know. Eilert Lövborg is in town, too.
Lövborg?
Fancy.
He's been here a whole week, all alone, with so many terrible temptations around him.
Excuse me, Mrs. Elvsted, but how does Lövborg concern you so much?
He was the children's tutor, my husband's children.
A tutor? Oh, excuse me, but was he regular enough in his habits?
His conduct has been perfect for 2 years.
Has it indeed? Fancy that, Hedda.
I can hear Tesman.
But now, in this town, I'm so frightened for him.
I'm told he published a new book.
Yes, a wonderful book, The March of Civilization. And it sold so well and made such a sensation. That's why he's back here.
Well, I'm very happy for Lövborg.
You know, Mrs. Elvsted, it seems a little odd of your husband to send you on such an errand. Why didn't he come and look after Lövborg himself?
My husband? Well, you see, he had no time, and then I had to do some shopping, and...
I see.
I came to ask, if Eilert comes to you, and he's sure to come, receive him kindly, please. He has no one. Promise me you'll look after him.
With the greatest of pleasure. You have my word.
Oh, I can't thank you enough. I'm so frightened.
Beg pardon, Mrs. Tesman. Judge Brack is here, ma'am.
Oh, I'll go. I'll go right away.
You'll do nothing of the sort. You sit quietly, dear. Tesman, go and receive Judge Brack in the inner parlor, won't you?
Oh, of course, my dear. You have my word for Lövborg, Mrs. Elvsted. Bertha, will you show Judge Brack into the small parlor, please?
Now we can really talk.
Oh, but I must go.
Nonsense. You're going to tell me everything. Why, we were friends in school, dear.
Were we? I was so afraid of you.
Afraid?
Oh, yes, you always pulled my hair. Once you threatened to burn it off.
Oh, that was childish nonsense. Now, listen, we're going to be good friends again. You must call me Hedda.
Oh, you're so kind. I'm not used to such kindness.
And I shall call you my dear Tora.
My name is Thea.
I mean Thea. But you say you're not used to kindness, even in your own home.
I have no home.
You went to the Elvsteds as governess, didn't you?
Yes. His late wife was an invalid.
And then she died and you became mistress of the house.
Yes, 5 years ago. Oh, those 5 years, if only I could tell you.
And Lövborg, you saw a good deal of him.
Yes, every day. He came to give the children lessons, you see.
So you said. But your husband, is he not kind to you? Is he fond of you?
I don't know. I think I'm just a useful property. And then it doesn't cost much to keep me. I'm not expensive.
Oh, that's stupid of you.
Well, he doesn't care for anyone, really. Perhaps the children.
And Eilert Lövborg, Thea. He sent you to town to look for him, after all.
No, he didn't. No, he doesn't even know I'm here. I simply left the house.
You dared?
But what else could I do?
But what will your husband say when you go home?
I'm not going home. Ever.
Thea, what will people say?
What they wish. I did what I had to do. I have to live where Lövborg is, if I'm to live at all.
My dear Thea, how did this friendship between you and Lövborg come about?
Well, you see, I gained a sort of influence over him.
Indeed?
Yes. He gave up his old habits. He saw that I hated them, and he dropped them.
Then you have reclaimed him, as the saying goes, my little Thea.
Yes, that's just what he said. And he... Oh, Hedda, he taught me so much. He made me understand so many things.
Oh, he gave you lessons, too?
Oh, no, not lessons. He talked to me about so many things. And then finally, the wonderful, happy time came when I began to share in his work. I began to help him.
Did you?
He never wrote anything without my help.
Oh, you were two good comrades, I see.
Comrades. That's the very word he used. Oh, I should be so happy if only it would last.
You're not quite sure of him, then. I wonder why.
I will tell you. It's because of a woman.
What woman?
I don't know. Someone he knew in his past. Someone he's never been able to forget.
And what has he told you about her, Thea?
Nothing. Only once he said...
He said what?
He said that when they parted, she threatened to shoot him with a pistol.
Shoot him with a pistol?
Yes.
Oh, Thea. Either you are inventing this nonsense or Lövborg was.
No.
My dear Thea, no one does that sort of thing.
I'm glad to hear that you had such a fine journey, Tesman. But now I'm afraid we must get down to business.
Yes, I think I understand what you mean, Judge Brack. The serious part of the frolic now, eh?
Well, the money question's not too pressing. Why you had to live in a house in quite this much style?
Think of Hedda, my dear fellow. I couldn't very well ask General Gabler's daughter to put up with anything shabby.
Perhaps not.
And then I'll be getting my professorship very soon now.
Yes, that's what I wanted to talk to you about.
Why? Have you heard anything definite?
Not exactly. By the way, Eilert Lövborg is back in town.
Yes, and quite a reformed character, I'm told. Published a new book and made a sensation.
Quite a sensation.
Well, I'm very happy for Lövborg. I thought he'd gone completely to ruin.
Who has gone to ruin, Tesman?
Ah, Mrs. Tesman. How delightful.
Well, where is Mrs. Elvsted, my dear?
She's just gone. Who has gone to ruin?
We were discussing poor Eilert Lövborg, dear.
Oh, indeed. What about him?
And I was about to remark, even if this new book is as wonderful as they say, but how on earth is Eilert to make his living?
I may have some information on that.
Oh, indeed.
My dear Tesman, I think I ought not to keep you in the dark. You must be prepared to find your appointment to the professorship deferred for a time. There is, I believe, to be a competition.
Competition? But who is my competition? Oh, surely not.
Precisely. Eilert Lövborg. His book, you see.
But no, that's impossible. Oh, my dear Judge, I'm a married man. Why we married on this prospect, Hedda and I. We're deep in debt. Why, they'd as good as promised it to me.
Well, you'll no doubt get it in the end, but there will be a contest.
Think of it, Tesman. There'll be a kind of sporting interest in that.
Hedda, how can you be so indifferent?
Oh, I'm not at all indifferent. I'm very curious to see who wins.
I'm so glad to see you can take it in this way, Mrs. Tesman. Tesman, I'll be going. I'll stop back this afternoon to take you home to my party.
A party?
My little bachelor party. You promised on the pier last night, remember?
Oh, I'd completely forgotten. I don't know, Judge. This news has upset me terribly.
Show the judge to the door, Tesman.
No. Please, don't bother. I shall return this afternoon, Tesman.
Hedda, One should never rush into adventures, eh?
Do you do that?
To marry and set up house on mere expectations. Well, at least we have our home, Hedda. The home we both dreamed of, eh?
You promised we would go into society, Tesman, and keep open house.
Yes, I was looking forward to it. Seeing you as a brilliant hostess. Well, we'll have to get on without it, dear.
And the man in livery I was to have.
Oh, out of the question, of course.
And the saddle horse. I suppose I mustn't think of that either.
A saddle horse? Oh, good heavens, no.
Well, I shall have one thing to kill time with at least.
Oh, thank heaven for that. What is it, Hedda, eh?
My pistols, George.
Pistols?
General Gabler's pistols. If I can't do anything else, at least I can shoot.
Look out, Judge Brack!
Stop that! You almost hit me.
That's what you get for sneaking in the back way. So, you're here again, Judge.
As you see. For heaven's sakes, put away that pistol. Where's Tesman?
He went out. He won't be back for some time.
Well, then I shan't be impatient. Come, my dear. Let us sit down and have a little chat, hmm? Oh, how I've wished you home again.
And I.
Really? I thought you were enjoying your trip. Tesman's letters were full of nothing but happiness.
Oh, Tesman. He was happy. He did nothing all day, every day, but grub among old books and papers. On his special subjects, he was forever saying.
You don't mean you were bored?
Bored to death. Specialists, my dear Judge, are not at all amusing to travel with.
Hmm? Not even the specialist one happens to love?
Love? Don't use that sickening word.
Well, what are you saying, Miss Hedda? If you don't love Tesman, why on earth did you marry him?
Oh, what's so wonderful about that? I had positively danced myself tired, my dear Judge. And I don't see anything absolutely ridiculous about Tesman. Do you?
Why, no, I shouldn't say so.
Well, then, and since he was so bent on providing for me, why shouldn't I have accepted him?
Well, if you look at it in that light. But in this case, it would seem that perhaps you might feel the need of someone.
Oh. As to that?
A trusted, sympathetic friend, perhaps?
With a fund of conversation on all sorts of subjects.
Yes. And not the least bit of a specialist.
Yes. Yes, that would be a relief.
Still, I should think you'd be happy with Tesman. Among other things, you have the home you set your heart on.
Do you believe in that fable, too?
Fable? You mean you didn't want this house?
Heaven knows I didn't. I hate the place. Once, to make a conversation with Tesman, I happened to say I should like to live here. That was our bond of sympathy, Tesman's and mine. Out of that came our engagement, our marriage, our wedding trip, and all the rest of it. Me, like this place. It smells of dried rose leaves.
Well, perhaps, Miss Hedda, you'll feel differently in a little time.
Why should I?
Well, supposing that what people call in elegant language a solemn responsibility were to come on you. A new responsibility, Miss Hedda.
Be quiet. That will never happen.
We'll speak of it again in a year, at the very most.
No, I tell you. The very idea is too disgusting. I tell you it will never happen.
Hedda!
Be quiet. Here's your husband.
Yes, my husband. The professor.
Hedda? Oh, how do you do, Judge Brack?
Tesman.
Hedda, has any message come from Eilert Lövborg?
Not yet.
Oh, he'll be here, I'm sure of it. I'd like to wait for him as long as possible, Judge. If it won't delay you for your party.
No, not at all. I trust Lövborg will be my guest also.
Or he could stay here with me.
With you, Hedda? Why, I say, would that be quite proper?
Oh, Mrs. Elvsted is coming. We shan't be alone, Tesman.
That would perhaps be best. Mrs. Tesman used to say of my bachelor parties that they were fit only for men of the strictest principles.
Big party, man.
No doubt Lövborg's principles are strict enough now. What is it, Better?
There's a Mr. Lövborg man inquiring if you are at home.
Well, show him in. You were quite correct, it seems, Tesman.
Fancy, to see Lövborg again, after all these years.
This way, sir.
Well, my dear Eilert, so we meet again.
Yes, Tesman. Will you two shake hands with me, Mrs. Tesman?
I'm glad to see you, Mr. Lövborg. Do you know Judge Brack?
Oh, yes, from the old days.
Well, now, Eilert, I want to tell you I've got hold of your new book, but I haven't had time to look into it.
You needn't bother. There's nothing in it.
What's that?
This is the real book. This bundle of papers here. This is the one you must read when it comes out. I brought it thinking I might read a bit of it to you this evening.
Why, this evening, I don't see how I can manage.
There's a small gathering at my house, Mr. Lövborg. I trust you'll join us.
Thank you, Judge Brack. That will be impossible.
Oh, but I beg of you. I'll even give you and Tesman a room where you can read to him.
No, thank you.
I'm sure Mr. Lövborg would rather remain here with me. Besides, Mrs. Elstead is coming. She'll have no one to see her home.
Oh, in that case, Mrs. Tesman, many thanks. I will stay.
Eilert, they tell me you're going to lecture at the university this autumn.
I hope you won't take it ill, Tesman.
Oh, I can hardly expect you to consider me.
No, of course I shall wait until you've received your appointment.
Then you're not going to compete with me? Hedda, do you hear? Eilert is not going to stand in our way.
Our way? Pray leave me out of it. Will you gentlemen take punch?
A fine idea. Come on, Brack. Eilert, we'll go into the other parlor.
No, thank you. Not for me.
Oh, why, bless me. Cold punch is not poison, you know.
Not for some.
Yes. Come on, Brack. Hedda, you keep Eilert company in the meantime.
Do you care to look at some photographs, Mr. Lövborg? Here is an album Tesman and I made on our wedding trip.
Pray sit down here, Judge.
Hedda Gabler.
Hush.
Hedda Gabler.
That is not my name now.
Hedda, how could you throw yourself away?
Hedda, my dear.
And this is a view from the Val d'Ampezzo, Mr. Lövborg.
Hedda, shan't I bring you some punch, my dear?
Yes, dear. Please do.
And a few biscuits, eh?
These mountains are the Dolomites, Mr. Lövborg.
Answer me, Hedda. How could you do this?
You are not to call me Hedda.
I see. It is an offense against Tesman, whom you love.
I do not love him. But I won't hear of any unfaithfulness.
Hedda, answer me one question.
There you are, my dear.
But you have brought 2 glasses. Mr. Lövborg does not want any.
No, but Mrs. Elstead is coming.
Oh, yes. Mrs. Elstead.
There are some excellent photographs there, Eilert. Fancy, if only we could have had you with us, eh?
Hedda, did you never love me?
I wonder. We always seemed like 2 good comrades. How we used to sit and talk about so many things.
Yes, just like this. Only in your father's parlor over an illustrated paper, while he dozed by the fire.
There was something beautiful in it to me. Something daring. That secret intimacy which no living creature dreamed of.
And how you made me talk. The things you made me tell you, the questions you asked.
Very roundabout questions, please remember.
How could you question me like that?
And how could you answer?
You wanted to be my confessor, that was it, wasn't it? You thought you could purge my sins away.
No, not quite.
Well, what was it then?
Does it seem so strange to you that a young girl, when it can be done without anyone knowing,
Well,
should want to have a peep into a world which she is forbidden to know anything about?
then why did our comradeship not continue?
The fault was yours.
It was you. You broke off with me.
Yes, when our friendship threatened to develop into something more serious. Oh, shame on you, Eilert Lövborg. How could you think of wronging your frank comrade?
Hedda. Oh. Hedda, why didn't you carry out your threat? Why didn't you shoot
I would
me?
have done so.
Yes, you were afraid of the scandal. Hedda, you're a coward at heart.
Yes, a terrible coward. But listen, Lövborg, I will confide something to you.
Well,
The fact that I dared not shoot you down, that was not my worst cowardice that night.
Hedda. Hedda, now I see. Now I understand. You...
Take care
You
to
and
not believe it. I'm married now, remember?
I am so happy. I was hoping to find you here, Mr. Lövborg.
Thea, my sweet Thea, you can't imagine how I've been longing for you. Come, sit by me.
Oh, Hedda, I'm so happy to be here.
This, Mrs. Tesman, this is my comrade. She has such faith in me. You're so brave.
Good heavens, am I brave?
Very brave, where your comrade is concerned.
Ah, courage. If one only had that. Now, my dearest Thea, you will have a glass of punch.
Oh, no, thank you.
Then you, Mr. Lövborg?
No, thanks.
But if I say you shall,
It will be no use.
then I, poor thing, have no power over you at all. You know, of course, that people will be thinking you're afraid, that you're not quite sure of yourself.
Oh, Hedda,
Let
please.
them think it for the present.
I saw Judge Brack's face when you dared not accept his invitation to the supper party.
Hedda.
Who says I dared not? I prefer to remain here.
But the judge didn't believe
I
that.
care nothing for him.
Of course he doesn't.
Firm as a rock, and as faithful. There now, my little Thea. What did I tell you when you came to us this morning in such a state of distraction?
What? Distraction?
Oh, Hedda, be still.
Now, you see, you had no reason to be in such mortal terror. Well, now, we can all three enjoy ourselves.
Now, just a minute. What is all this?
Hedda, what are you saying? What are you doing?
So she was in mortal terror on my account. So that was my comrade's trust in me.
Oh, my dearest friend, please, please.
The punch. Oh, here it is. Your health, Thea.
Lövborg, no. Oh, Hedda, how could you do this?
I do it. Are you crazy?
It's to your health, too, Mrs. Tesman. Here's to the truth. Hurrah for the truth.
Come no more. Remember, you're going to the judges for supper.
No, oh, Lövborg.
And you have to read your manuscript to Tesman.
You're right. Now, listen, Thea. It was stupid of me, all this. Don't be angry with me. Dear comrade, you shall see, everyone shall see, that if I was fallen once, I have risen again, thanks to you, Thea.
Oh, heaven be praised.
Well, ladies, my guests will be arriving at my house. Our time has come.
Mine, too, Judge Brack.
Lövborg, don't do it, please.
Be quiet.
You were good enough to invite me, Judge?
Oh, are you coming after all? I'm delighted.
Hey, fancy, Eilert. I'm quite looking forward to hearing you read that manuscript. But, Hedda, how is Mrs. Elstead to get home tonight, eh?
That's simple. I'll come and fetch her.
Oh.
At 10 o'clock. Will that do?
Certainly, Mr. Lövborg, that will do nicely.
But you must not expect me so early, Hedda.
You, Tesman, you may stay as long as you like.
You will be on time, Mr. Lövborg. I shall stay till you come.
Pray do, Mrs. Elstead. I shall be here.
Come now, gentlemen. Off we go.
Have a lively time. I wish I could be there to see it.
Oh, you're a nice one, Hedda. Fancy your saying such a thing.
Come, gentlemen. Goodbye, ladies. Goodbye.
Hedda, what will come of all this?
At 10 o'clock, he will be here. I can see him already. He'll be flushed and fearless. He'll have vine leaves in his hair.
Oh, I hope so. I hope so.
And then, don't you see? Then he will have power over himself. He will be a free man for all his days.
If only he could come as you see him now.
He will come so. So and not otherwise. You, Thea, may doubt him as long as you please. I believe in him.
And you forced him to go. Hedda, you have some hidden motive in all this.
Yes, I do. I do. I want for once in my life to have power to mold a human destiny.
Have you not the power?
I have not. I've never had.
Not your husband?
Do you think it's worth the trouble? Oh, I'm so poor, Thea, so poor. And fate has made you so rich. I think I must burn your hair off after all.
Oh, let go of me. I'm afraid of you, Hedda.
Don't be a fool. Come along. We are going to have some tea.
No, I don't want any. I'd rather go home alone at once.
You shall not. You shall have a cup of tea.
No.
And then at 10 o'clock, Eilert Lövborg will be here with vine leaves in his hair. I'm asleep. What time is it?
It's past 7 in the morning. Broad daylight.
Have they come home?
No one has come. Hedda, I'm frantic. What are we to do?
There. Don't be alarmed. I know just what happened.
What? Tell me.
Why, it must have been a very late affair at Judge Brack's. They didn't want to come back and wake us, so they've stayed there.
But Eilert?
Eilert? Why, he's sitting with vine leaves in his hair, reading his manuscript.
Oh, Hedda, you don't believe that. You're just saying it.
Thea, you're a fool. And how tired you look. You must go into my room and lie down.
Oh, I couldn't.
Of course you can.
But if he comes,
If anyone comes, I shall call you at once. Now go, will you? I won't look at that tragic face of yours another minute. Berta! Berta!
Hedda, remember you promised. If there's any news...
I said I'd call you. Now go.
Did you call, ma'am?
Yes, make up a fire in the stove there. It's freezing in this room.
Certainly, ma'am. I'd made up the fire before, ma'am. I didn't want to come in here for fear of waking you.
All right. Get on with it.
Oh, yes. There was a message came from Miss Julia Tesman, ma'am. She's feeling very ill, and she wants Mr. Tesman to come right away.
Well, you can see he isn't here. Come, am I to freeze to death while you jabber? For heaven's sake, finish building that fire. You needn't try to tiptoe in, Tesman. Good morning.
Oh, Hedda. Oh, good heavens, are you up so early, eh?
Did you enjoy yourself at Judge Brack's?
Oh, yes, in a way. Especially the beginning of the evening. For then Eilert read me part of his manuscript. Hedda, I must make a confession to you.
Well?
While he was reading, a horrible feeling came over me. I positively envied him for being able to write such a thing. Fancy that.
Is it so fine?
Fine. Hedda, it is inspired. Oh, and to think that with all his gifts, he should be irreclaimable after all.
What does that mean?
I mean, he is incapable of taking his pleasures in moderation. He drank far more than was good for him.
Had he vine leaves in his hair?
I didn't see any vine leaves. Oh, Hedda, a terrible thing happened. I'm almost ashamed to tell you for Eilert's sake.
Oh, go on.
Well, we left Brock's together, a group of us. We meant to take Eilert home. He was walking ahead, and I happened to drop back a little.
Yes.
You must never speak of it to a soul, Hedda, ever. Fancy, dear. Lying in the road, I found this.
Well, that's the parcel he had with him yesterday.
It is the whole of his precious, irreplaceable manuscript, and he had lost it. Simply dropped it and never knew. Think of it, Hedda.
I am thinking. Why didn't you give it back?
Oh, I dared not. The condition he was in. I didn't even tell him I had it.
And afterwards?
I had no chance. For he and 2 or 3 of the others gave us the slip and disappeared. Fancy that. Well, I must take it to him at once, to his lodging.
Don't be in a hurry. Give it to me. I want to read it.
No, dearest Hedda, I mustn't do that. Think what a state poor Eilert will be in when he finds it gone. He had no copy of it, you know.
Oh, by the way, a message came from your Aunt Julia. It seems she is ill. She would like you to come to her.
What? Aunt Julia? Hedda, why didn't you tell me? Oh, the poor creature, I must run to her.
Will you run, Tesman?
Hedda, dear, if only you would...
Don't ask me. I will not look upon sickness. I loathe all sorts of ugliness.
Well, I must hurry.
Yes, run.
Pardon, ma'am, but Judge Brack is here.
I can't possibly see him.
But I can. Ask the judge to come in. Tesman, the manuscript.
Yes, give it to me.
No, I will keep it. I'll put it here, in the desk drawer.
Well, Tesman, are you on the move?
Yes, Judge, I must hurry to my aunt. She is ill.
Well, don't let me keep you.
No, I must hurry. Goodbye, Judge. Hedda, goodbye.
Well, Miss Hedda, what has Tesman been telling you about the night's adventures,
Only that they had to take Eilert home.
Tesman took him home?
No, but some of the others, so he said.
Oh. Do you know where Eilert finished the night, Miss Hedda?
Well?
Have you ever heard of a Mademoiselle Diana?
Mademoiselle Diana. Isn't she a sort of singer?
Only in her spare moments. Well, it seems that Eilert Lövborg knew her rather well before...
Before he was reclaimed up at the Elfstead.
Just so. And this Mademoiselle Diana also had a party last night in her rooms. That is where Eilert ended up.
Well, and what happened?
Seems they came to blows. Eilert declared that his pocketbook had disappeared and other things as well. In short, he made a furious disturbance and is now in the hands of the police.
You seem to have tracked him out rather carefully.
Well, I had my reasons. I thought it was my duty to supply you and Tesman with a full account of Lövborg's exploits.
Why?
Henceforth, as before, every respectable home will be closed to him.
And so ought mine to be, you mean?
I confess it'd be very painful to me if Lövborg were to be made free of your home. It might intrude upon the, how shall I say it?
Upon the little triangle you have planned. You and Tesman and me.
Mm-hmm. You put it so precisely.
You want to be the cock of the walk, don't you, Judge Brack?
That's my aim. And for that I will fight with every weapon at my command.
You're a dangerous man. I shouldn't like to think you had any hold over me.
Oh, I should not like that either. The triangle, if possible, ought to be spontaneously constructed. Well, I've had my say. Good morning to you, Miss Hedda.
I tell you I will come in. You can't keep me out. Get out of my way.
Well, Mr. Lövborg, this is a rather late hour to call for Thea.
Hedda, where's Tesman?
He's not up yet.
Did he tell you anything about the evening?
Oh, I really don't remember. I was so sleepy when...
Lövborg! Lövborg, is that you?
Oh.
Oh, I thought I heard your voice. At last.
Yes, Thea, at last. And too late.
What are you saying?
Would you rather be alone?
No, Mrs. Tesman, no, stay here. I have only to tell Thea that everything is finished, that our ways must part.
How can you stand there and say that? What am I to do with my life?
You must go home again, Thea.
Never in this world. Where you are, there will I be. I will be with you when the book appears.
The book? Book will never appear.
Never appear? Lövborg, what have you done with the manuscript?
Yes, the manuscript.
Lövborg, that was your book and mine. I demand to be told, where is it?
The manuscript I have torn into 1,000 pieces.
Oh, no.
But that's not...
Not true, you think, huh?
Oh, well, of course, if you say so.
Hedda torn his own work to pieces.
Why not? Into 1,000 pieces and scatter them in the fjord. And there let them drift and sink, deeper and deeper, as I shall sink, dear.
Lövborg, this that you have done, to me it is as though you had killed a little child. Oh, how could you, Eilert? It was my child, too.
Yes, Thea. Your child and Eilert's. And you wanted that child, didn't you? That child.
Will never be born now, Thea. Our child.
Then everything is over for me. I will go now, Hedda.
But Lövborg will see you home.
No, I will go alone. Goodbye, Hedda.
You ever walk through the streets with me? You have people see her with me?
Whatever happened last night? Can't it be put right?
It won't end with last night. Yet I have no taste for my old sort of life now. Thea, changed all that.
So, that pretty little fool has had her fingers in a man's destiny. But, Eilert, why did you tear up the manuscript?
Hedda, to you I can tell the truth. I have not torn it up.
You still have it?
No, it is destroyed, utterly destroyed, Hedda. Thea said that I had killed a child.
Yes.
But to kill a child, that's not the worst a father can do.
Then what is?
Suppose, Hedda, a man came home to his child's mother after a night of riot and debauchery and said, "Listen, I have been here and there, this place and that. I have taken our child with me to this place and that. And I've lost the child. It's gone. Devil knows who has it."
When all is said and done, after all, this was only a book.
Thea's pure soul was in that book.
So I understand.
Then you can understand that for her and me, No future together is possible.
Then, what do you mean to do?
Only try to make an end of it all. The sooner the better.
Eilert Lövborg, listen to me. Will you not try to do it beautifully?
Beautifully? With vine leaves in my hair, as you used to say in the old days? Well, I will try. Bye, Mrs. Tesman. Give George Tesman my love.
Wait. I will give you a memento to take with you.
I have no need of anything, Hedda.
You may, perhaps, of this. Do you remember that case there on the table?
No.
Do you remember it now?
Your pistols.
Yes. There. That one. It was aimed at you once.
Should have used it then.
Take it. And use it. Now.
This is the memento.
Beautifully, Eilert Lövborg. Beautifully. Promise me that.
Goodbye, Hedda Gabler.
Berta. Berta!
You called, ma'am?
Build up that fire. It's gone out. Build it high.
Yes, ma'am. That one who was here, ma'am. We used to hear enough about him in the old days. I hope he won't come back soon.
He will never come again. Are you building it high?
Yes, ma'am. I think it'll do now, ma'am.
Then go. I'll call you if I need anything more. And I'll go. Quickly! Now, the manuscript. Their precious manuscript. A child, she called it. She wanted to have a child. Now, Thea. Now I am burning your child, Thea. Burning it. Curly locks. Your child and Eilert Lövborg. I am burning your child.
Hedda? Where is Eilert Lövborg? Has he been here?
Did you see him, Tesman?
I looked in his rooms to tell him his manuscript was in safekeeping, and he wasn't there. Then afterwards I met Mrs. Elstead, and she told me that he had been here this morning.
Yes, directly after you had gone.
And he said he had torn up the manuscript. Why, he must be out of his mind. I suppose you thought it best not to give it to him, Hedda.
No, he did not get it.
But of course you told him we had it.
No. Did you tell Mrs. Elstead?
No. But you ought to have told him. Let me have it at once, Hedda. I will take it to him.
I have not got it.
Why, of course you have. Come on, Hedda. Where is it?
I have burnt it.
You what?
I have burnt it. Every line of it.
Hedda. Hedda, what are you saying? That's impossible.
Every line.
Hedda. Hedda, do you know what you have done? What could have made you do such a thing?
I did it for your sake, George.
For my sake?
This morning, you said when Eilert read you his work, you envied him for it.
But of course I didn't mean that.
No matter. I couldn't bear for anyone to throw you in the shade.
Hedda. Oh, Hedda, is this true? But I never knew you to show your love like this before. Oh, Hedda, my dearest.
Well, I may as well tell you this, too, now. You'll know soon enough.
Huh? Tell me what?
Well, the fact is, just at this time, when that for which your Aunt Julie is always knitting little things
Hedda.
for.
Oh, my dear. Oh, I understand. Hedda, you mean it? You mean that
Don't shout, will you? The servant will hear.
The servant? Why, if you mean my dear old Berta, oh, she'll be so happy, Hedda. I'll tell her myself.
Oh, no, it is killing me. It is killing me, all this.
What is, Hedda? Oh, I understand. Come, Hedda, you must lie down.
Stop it, will you?
Oh, Hedda, I am so happy. And yet, the manuscript. Great heavens, what will become of poor Eilert now?
Beg pardon, ma'am. Mrs. Elvsted.
Oh, Bertha. Oh, my old Bertha. I have such news for you.
Tesman, be quiet. I can't bear it, I tell you. Ask Mrs. Elvsted to come in.
Come in, please, ma'am.
Dear Hedda, please forgive my coming here again, but I'm so afraid something has happened to Eilert.
Why, Mrs. Elvsted? What makes you say so, eh?
I heard them talking at my boarding house. They stopped talking when they saw me, but I heard something about the hospital.
Oh, no, surely not.
And then I went to his lodgings, and they said he hadn't been there since yesterday afternoon.
Fancy. How could they say such a thing?
Oh, I'm sure something terrible must have happened to him.
Dear. Perhaps I should go and make inquiries.
Not at all. Don't you mix yourself up in this affair.
Mrs. Tesman is quite right about that, Tesman.
Huh? Oh, is that you, my dear Judge, eh?
Oh, Judge Brack, have you any news of Eilert Lövborg?
What makes you ask, Mrs. Elvsted? Have you heard anything?
No, nothing, but
If you know anything, Judge, pray tell us.
I regret to say that Eilert Lövborg has been taken to the hospital.
Eh?
He's lying at the point of death.
So soon.
Death! Hedda, we parted in anger.
Thea, be careful.
I must go to him. I must see him before it's too late.
That is useless, madam. No one will be admitted.
Judge, tell me, is it possible that he himself...
Yes. Yes, I'm sure of it.
How can you?
Unfortunately, you've guessed right, Mrs. Tesman.
Oh, Eilert. Oh, how horrible.
Shot himself.
Right again, Mrs. Tesman.
Judge, tell us more. Where was he found, eh?
Why, that I don't know. But he was found. He'd shot himself. In the breast.
Not in the temple.
In the breast, Mrs. Tesman.
Well, the breast is a good place, too.
What do you mean, Mrs. Tesman?
Nothing.
And he is dying.
Has probably died by now.
At last, a deed worth doing.
Good heavens, Hedda, what are you saying?
I say there is beauty in this.
Really, Mrs. Tesman?
Oh, Hedda, how can you talk of beauty?
Eilert Lövborg has made up his account with life. He has had the courage to do the one right thing.
No, I cannot have you think so. He must have been in delirium.
Never.
Yes, he was in delirium. Just as when he tore up our manuscript.
What? The manuscript? Has he torn that up?
Oh, to think of it. Eilert going out of the world this way. Not leaving behind him the book that would have made him immortal. I don't know what I would not give. If only somehow it could be put together again.
Perhaps it can, Mr. Tesman.
What do you say, Mrs. Elvsted?
I have kept all the loose notes he used to dictate from. I have them here with me.
You have them, Mrs. Elvsted?
Yes, here in my
Well.
bag. Oh, but they're in such disorder, all mixed up.
But if we could make something out of them after all.
Well, I can perhaps remember how they should go. Oh, at least let us try.
Oh, we will manage it. We must. I will dedicate my life to it.
You, George, your life.
Well, all I can, at least. My own book must wait in the meantime. Hedda, I owe it to Eilert's memory.
Perhaps.
Come, Mrs. Elvsted. We must not brood. I cannot wait until I've looked through these papers. Come, we will sit in there, in the back parlor. My dear Judge, Hedda, will you excuse us?
Oh, Mr. Tesman, if only it were possible, I would try to remember all that I can.
Oh, what a sense of freedom it gives one, this act of Eilert Lövborg's.
Release for him, you mean?
No, for me. To know that a deed of deliberate courage and beauty is still possible in this world.
Eilert Lövborg was more to you than you admit even to yourself. Am I wrong?
I do not answer such questions. I'm thinking only that he had the will, the courage, the strength to
I'm
do
sorry, Miss Hedda. I must dispel a pretty illusion.
Illusion? What are you talking about?
Eilert Lövborg did not shoot himself voluntarily. For Mrs. Elvsted's sake, I concealed the fact somewhat.
Well, what are the facts?
First, that he's already dead.
At the hospital?
Yes. Second, that he was found shot in Mademoiselle Diana's boudoir.
That is impossible, Judge Brack. He cannot have been there.
Oh, he was there this afternoon. The police were told that he came to demand the return of something he said had been stolen from him. He talked wildly about a lost child.
Oh.
Well, there he was found, with a pistol in his breast pocket discharged. The bullet had lodged in a vital part.
In the breast. Yes.
No, in the stomach.
Ah. What curse is it that makes everything I touch turn ugly and mean?
And then there is one more thing, Miss
Hedda,
Hedda.
my dear, it is almost impossible for Mrs. Elstead and me to see under that lamp. Would you mind our sitting at your writing desk?
If you like.
Come then, Mrs. Elstead. Make yourself comfortable here.
Well, my sweet Taya, how goes it with Eilert Lövborg's manuscript?
Oh, it will be terribly hard to put in order.
Yes, but we must manage it. I am determined. Hedda, dear, don't let us disturb your conversation with Judge Brack.
Perhaps if we could start with this group, Mr. Tesman.
Yes,
and
that
then
would be
I
ideal.
will try to get some notes.
Yes, Judge Brack, you were saying there was one more point.
Yes, about the pistol Lövborg was carrying, Miss Hedda.
What about it?
He was here this morning, was he not?
Yes,
Were you alone with him?
part of the time.
Did you not leave the room while he was here?
Perhaps part of the time I may have stepped into the hall.
And after he left, did you by chance open your pistol case to see if both the pistols were there?
No.
Well, you needn't. The pistol in Lövborg's pocket was the one I saw here yesterday.
Where is it?
The police have it.
What will the police do with it?
Why, search until they find the owner.
Do you think they will succeed?
No, Hedda Gabler. Not as long as I say nothing.
And if you say something, what then?
Well, there is the possibility, of course, that the pistol was stolen.
And if it was not, and if the owner is discovered?
Well, Hedda, then comes the scandal.
A scandal?
Yes, the scandal of which you're mortally afraid. You will, of course, be brought before the court, both you and Mademoiselle Diana. She'll have to explain how it all happened, whether it was an accident or murder. Did the pistol go off as he was taking it from his pocket to threaten her, or did she tear it from his pocket, shoot him, and replace it? She could do that. She's an able-bodied young person, this same Mademoiselle Diana.
I have nothing to do with this repulsive affair.
No? But you will have to explain why you gave Eilert Lövborg the pistol. And what are people likely to think from the fact that you did give it to him?
That is true. I did not think of that.
Well, my dear, fortunately, there's no danger. As long as I say nothing.
So, I am in your power, Judge Brack. At your beck and call, as long as I live.
Dearest Hedda, believe me, I shall never abuse my advantage.
Nevertheless, I am your slave. No. I am not. I will not be.
People generally get used to the inevitable.
Perhaps. Well, are you getting on, George, huh?
It is hard to say, my dear. Perhaps. In any case, it will be the work of months.
Fancy that. Doesn't it seem strange to you, Taya? Here you are sitting with Tesman, just as you used to sit with Eilert Lövborg.
Oh, Hedda, if only I could inspire your husband to be wonderful in the same way.
Oh, that will come, too, in time.
Yes. Do you know, Hedda, I really think I begin to feel something of the sort.
How brightly your hair shines, Taya, under the light.
Hedda, my dear, won't you go and sit with Brack again?
Is there nothing I can do to help you, too?
Oh, nothing in the world, dear. I trust you to keep Hedda company, my dear Brack.
With the very greatest of pleasure.
Thanks. But I'm tired this evening. I think I shall go into the back parlor and lie down on the sofa.
Yes. Yes, do, dear. Why don't you draw the curtains across the doorway and put out the lamp in there? Then you can rest.
Yes. Yes, I think I shall rest.
All this has been too much for Hedda. She does look tired, poor dear.
Yes, just now. In her condition.
Oh, what is that?
Hedda! Hedda, my dear! My dear, you mustn't play tonight. Think of poor Eilert.
Yes, I am thinking of him. After this, I will be quiet.
It's not good for her to see us at this distressing work. I'll tell you what, Mrs. Elstead. You shall take the empty room at Aunt Julia's, and then I will come over in the evenings and we can work there, eh?
How wonderful.
I hear what you're saying, Tesman.
How am I to get through the evenings here?
Why, Hedda, I dare say Judge Brack will be so kind as to look in now and again.
Every blessed evening with the greatest pleasure in life, Mrs. Tesman. We shall get on capitally together, we two.
Yes. Don't you flatter yourself we will, Judge Brack. Now that you're the one cock of the walk. Oh, heavens.
Oh, now she's playing with those pistols again. Hedda! Hedda!
Hedda!
Good Lord. She shot herself.
Shot herself? Shot herself in the temple. Fancy that.
Good Lord. Why? People don't do such things.
You have heard Hedda Gabler by Henrik Ibsen. In today's cast, Virginia Christine was Hedda, John Stevenson was Tesman, Florence Ravenel was his aunt, Gloria Ann Simpson was Berta the maid, Vivi Janis was Thea, Paul Frees was Judge Brack, Larry Dobkin was Lövborg. Your announcer, Don Stanley.
You have just heard Henrik Ibsen's classic tragedy, Hedda Gabler. This was the NBC University Theater production, from 1950. This is historyradio.org, a free radio stream promoting knowledge of literature and history.